And thank you, Secretary Carson, for joining us today. Secretary Carson, in December 2017, you delivered a keynote at the Manhattan Institute where you stated, quote, "The war on poverty sometimes conflicted with the war on drugs, which often dealt harshly with nonviolent offenders, taking men away from their families and disproportionately affecting minority communities." Are these your words?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge that the war on drugs disproportionately impacted Black communities and communities of color, despite marijuana and other drug use levels being comparable to white communities?
Traditionally, that has been the case.
And I see here, are you also aware that when a formerly incarcerated person is homeless, there's a 60% chance that they will be rearrested?
The hearing opens with AOC setting the stage, quoting Ben Carson's 2017 Manhattan Institute speech about the war on drugs. She tries to corner him with his own words, pressing him to admit that drug policies disproportionately impacted Black and minority communities. Carson, unfazed, simply confirms the obvious. Yes, traditionally that has been the case. His tone is calm, professional, and precise. No hesitation, no defensiveness. While AOC enters with the energy of a prosecutor, Carson remains grounded, signaling early that emotion won't shake him. AOC continues with her trademark confidence, citing statistics about homelessness and recidivism. She explains that incarcerated individuals who secure housing are less likely to reoffend. Carson, ever the measured intellect, agrees again, even elaborating that housing is indeed one of the key factors in reducing recidivism. Instead of scoring a victory, AOC accidentally finds herself on the same side as her witness. The dynamic shifts instantly. Carson is cooperative, logical, and respectful, while AOC seems determined to create conflict where none exists.
That same person has access to housing, the percentage drops to 29%.
Housing is one of the factors that is beneficial in preventing recidivism.
Mm-hmm. I'm concerned here that the war on drugs has not been solely limited to incarceration, and that the negative impact of the war on drugs has not been limited to incarceration. But also we had legislated rippling effects that also seems to have been codified in our housing system. Are you aware of HUD's one-strike rule, which evicts tenants for a single incidence of criminal activity, no matter how minor, with no holistic review?
There is the ability of local jurisdictions to alter that rule.
Mm-hmm. But federally, this provision still persists, correct?
As far as I know, it's still intact.
Mm-hmm. And so a person could be stop and frisked and be found in possession of a small amount of marijuana and then be evicted or have their entire family evicted from public housing.
That is a possibility.
Pivoting fast, AOC brings up HUD's one-strike rule, a federal provision allowing tenants to be evicted after a single criminal offense. She tries to frame it as cruel and outdated, implying Carson supports it personally. But Carson doesn't flinch. He explains that while the rule exists, local jurisdictions have authority to modify or relax it. His response neutralizes her accusation before it even builds momentum. Instead of taking the bait, he reminds everyone that policy isn't written in emotion. It's guided by structure and law. AOC presses further, citing examples of minor offenses, like small marijuana possession, leading to evictions. She raises her voice slightly, expecting Carson to backpedal. Instead, he stays composed, acknowledging that it's possible but rare. His steady answers dismantle her narrative piece by piece. Carson's professionalism highlights a deeper truth. Understanding policy requires more than moral outrage. By this point, AOC's tone feels more performative than inquisitive, while Carson's quiet authority keeps winning the room.
Are you aware that owners and public housing authorities can subject tenants to tests for alcohol and drugs?
They can require that, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I see here that that we also have no-fault policies where an entire family can be evicted for the criminal activity of a guest of the household, even without the knowledge of anyone in that household. Are you aware of that provision as well?
The use of such activity is extremely limited, if ever used.
But they are still codified in federal law, correct?
Is it on the federal books? As far as I know, it's been on the books for many, many years.
And look at the policies that have been done, and look at the people who have been helped. Black unemployment at the lowest level ever. Same thing for Hispanics. You look at the fact that he has engaged so much in second chance for people, things that other people talked about, but he has done. Opportunity zones where people who've made enormous amounts of money have the opportunity to take unrealized capital gains and to...
Determined not to lose ground, AOC shifts again, this time to no-fault eviction policies. She dramatizes the issue, painting vivid scenarios of innocent families being thrown out due to a guest's wrongdoing. Her words aim to strike emotion, not logic. But Carson calmly clarifies, such measures are rarely enforced and exist primarily for public safety. He reminds her that HUD's responsibility includes protecting law-abiding tenants from dangerous situations. It's a reasonable point that undercuts her attempt to frame the system as heartless. What follows is a striking contrast in demeanor. AOC's delivery grows animated, almost theatrical, while Carson remains collected and surgical in tone. Every accusation she throws is met with a short, factual counter. The exchange feels less like an interrogation and more like a masterclass in composure. Carson demonstrates what happens when preparation meets provocation. He doesn't just answer. He exposes the shallow understanding behind her outrage.
Plow them into the areas of the country that have traditionally been neglected. It's what's been done. It's not what's been said or how it's been interpreted and hashed over and over in the media.
But Secretary, look at this tweet that Ilhan Omar has put out. I mean, this is an elected congresswoman, an elected position that says that, the president wants every black and brown person deported, every Muslim banned. How is this possible that an elected official can get away with saying this as if this is fact?
Well, there is a radical element. I don't want to talk about a specific congressperson because of the Hatch Act, but, there is a radical element that has been introduced into our legislative body that seems to be intent on pushing their ideology. And they have an accomplice in the media in doing so. And this is very detrimental to our country. I think, we should be having a conversation with the media, and they should be having a conversation themselves, asking themselves, why is it that the press is the only business that has been protected by our Constitution? And the reason is because they were supposed to disseminate objectively to the...
The discussion takes a strange turn when Carson highlights actual progress under his leadership. Historic lows in Black and Hispanic unemployment, opportunity zones, and second chance initiatives. He shifts the conversation from accusation to achievement, laying out data that defies the narrative AOC and her allies push. It's an elegant pivot that reminds the committee why facts matter more than feelings. Carson's message is simple. Real change doesn't come from slogans. It comes from solutions. When another member brings up a tweet from Ilhan Omar accusing the Trump administration of racism, Carson draws a clear line. Without violating the Hatch Act, he points out the radical element in Congress that thrives on media amplification. He speaks with the kind of maturity that comes from experience, criticizing the press for manipulating narratives instead of reporting truth. His tone isn't bitter, just disappointed. In that moment, the contrast between grounded leadership and sensational activism becomes impossible to ignore.
People of America, real information upon which they could make decisions. They were not supposed to try to manipulate people. So, there are the radical element that is taking advantage of the ideological bent of the media, and it's unfair to the people. But as Thomas Jefferson said, the people will come through.
As the clip commentary picks up, the narrator highlights AOC's strategy, chasing a viral gotcha instead of genuine dialogue. She looks prepared for a confrontation, but Carson simply agrees with her points, leaving her visibly unsure of what to do next. His calmness feels almost disarming, as though he's seen this performance before. The irony is sharp. She's trying to debate a brain surgeon on logic and composure, and he's performing at a level she can't match. Then comes the turning point. AOC begins to lose control of her own narrative, pivoting from policy to personality. She criticizes housing failures in New York City, problems created long before Carson's tenure, and implies federal neglect. Carson doesn't react defensively. He listens, responds factually, and maintains complete command of his demeanor. The exchange becomes symbolic of a broader issue. Modern politicians chasing moments, while professionals chase results. By the final stretch, the contrast is undeniable. AOC doubles down, introducing her fair chance at Housing Act and arguing that rules against ex-offenders are unfair. Carson listens quietly, then responds with the same level-headed tone he's maintained throughout. While she equates accountability with oppression, he insists that safety and fairness must coexist. It's not about punishing people. It's about protecting communities. His patience feels almost surgical, dissecting her arguments with calm precision rather than confrontation. The narrator's commentary frames this perfectly. AOC came to the hearing looking for a headline, but Carson came prepared with reality. Her emotional delivery contrasts sharply with his logical consistency. Every time she raises her voice, he lowers his. Every time she attacks, he clarifies. In a Congress filled with noise, his quiet composure becomes the loudest message of all. Real leadership doesn't need to perform. As Representative Katie Porter steps in, attempting to corner Carson with foreclosure statistics, the same pattern repeats. He doesn't dodge. He acknowledges the question and promises to review it. That single gesture of professionalism dismantles the theatrics surrounding him. Porter gets her viral moment, but Carson leaves with credibility intact. It's a clash between optics and authenticity, and Carson's calm professionalism once again proves unbeatable. The closing narration drives the point home with humor and finality. AOC entered the room armed with talking points. Carson came armed with facts. When an influencer meets a neurosurgeon, the result isn't a debate, it's a reality check. Her arguments collapse under the weight of logic, while his measured responses show what steady leadership looks like. The final takeaway is clear. Washington doesn't need louder voices. It needs steadier hands. Ben Carson didn't just win the exchange. He reminded everyone how reason defeats rhetoric every single time.